Okay, let's unpack this. Imagine a monster, right? One that's basically designed to be invincible. Like a creature where every time you attack it, it doesn't just survive. It actually gets stronger.
Yeah, chop off one head.
And 2 more grow back.
Yeah.
Instantly.
Exactly. And that's the terror, really, of the Lernaean Hydra from Greek myth, one of the most infamous ones.
Right. It wasn't just, a big snake.
No, definitely not. The sources paint it as this multi-headed nightmare. And what's interesting is how many heads it had.
Oh, yeah. It varies.
It varies wildly, yeah. Depends who you read. You see commonly 9 heads, like from Alcaeus.
Okay.
But then others, like Simonides or Diodorus, they go way higher. 50, even 100 heads.
100? Wow.
But they all agree where it lived. Those dark, sort of treacherous swamps of Lerna.
You're the well of Amymone and Argos, wasn't it?
That's the one. And it wasn't just the biting heads you had to worry about.
Right, the poison. Its breath, even its tracks.
Lethal. Sources say they could kill anything nearby, just wither the land.
And that central head, immortal.
Yeah, usually described as immortal, couldn't be killed like the others.
So it's basically tailor-made to be an impossible fight.
Absolutely. Which is exactly why King Eurystheus gave it to Hercules as his second labor.
He was still smarting from the Nemean lion success, I bet.
Oh, for sure. This wasn't just another monster hunt. Eurystheus was actively trying to, get rid of Hercules. He picked the Hydra because it seemed unkillable by force alone.
Okay, so for this deep dive, we're going beyond just retelling the story.
Right.
We want to look at, where did this thing even come from? Its monstrous origins. Then the fight itself, how do you even approach something that just keeps regenerating?
The hopelessness of it, yeah.
And then that breakthrough moment, the cleverness that finally beat it.
And not forgetting the aftermath. That poison.
Oh, yeah, the poisoned arrows. And how that connects, unexpectedly, tragically, back to Hercules himself later on.
It's a great story because it's not just about muscle, it's strategy, it's teamwork.
Yeah, and maybe unintended consequences. Okay, let's dive into the swamp.
Right. So Lerna, the sources describe it as this ancient marshy area, kind of eerie, full of dread.
And the Hydra made it worse, right? The air itself.
Thick, poisonous. It wasn't just a monster living in the swamp. It almost embodied the swamp's danger.
And its family tree is something else.
Oh, absolutely. This wasn't some random beast. Its parents were Typhon.
The giant. Like most feared giant.
Pretty much, yeah. And Echidna.
The mother of monsters. Half woman, half serpent.
Exactly. So think about its siblings. Cerberus, the chimera.
Even the Nemean lion, his first labor.
Right. It puts the Hydra right into the top tier of mythological monsters. One source just mentions Echidna, but that Typhon link really emphasizes its power.
Talk about bad genetics.
Seriously. And it wasn't just lurking there passively either.
No.
The sources often say Hera nurtured it, because of her massive grudge against Hercules.
Of course. So she kind of weaponized it against him?
Kind of positioned it there in Lerna, yeah. To make his life hell. It was actively raiding flocks, ruining the farmland nearby.
Which plays right into Eurystheus' hands. Hercules kills the lion, so Eurystheus thinks, okay, strength worked there. What about something trickier?
Precisely. He sees the Hydra's regeneration and thinks, perfect, this is the impossible task.
And Hercules knew it was bad. Did he go alone?
No, he knew. He travels to Lerna, but he brings his nephew, Iolaus.
Ah, Iolaus. He becomes important, doesn't he?
Very. The sources mention him early on, hinting at that. And the environment itself was part of this toxic, difficult swamp terrain.
So the battle starts. Hercules needs to get it out of its lair first.
Yeah, myths very slightly. Maybe flaming arrows, maybe poking it with something hot.
Whatever works. And out it comes. This mess of heads.
Horrifying spectacle, yeah. And he goes in with his usual weapon, sword, club.
Yep.
Some early art, even shows a sickle.
And then the awful discovery.
Right. He cuts off a head, maybe feels a moment of success, and then, bam, 2 grow back.
And stronger ones, apparently.
Often described that way, yeah. More vigorous, more aggressive. He's suddenly trapped in this unwinnable loop.
It's literally a Hydra-headed problem.
Exactly. And just when things seem desperate, Hera throws in another curveball.
Oh yeah, the crab.
She sends this giant crab scuttling out of the swamp to nip at his foot, just to make things even harder.
Divine interference. Did he just stomp on it?
Crushed it, yeah. But Hera later put it in the sky as the constellation Cancer. Still, it shows how stacked the odds were. Hercules is in real trouble here. His usual tactics are making things worse.
Okay, so this is the crisis point. And this is where Iolaus steps up.
This is the moment. He sees what's happening, sees the regeneration nightmare.
And has the big idea.
Yes.
Yeah.
The sources give Iolaus the credit for the strategy, though, interestingly, one mentions Athena might have given him the instruction.
Okay, but the core idea.
Fire. Simple but brilliant. Stop the stumps regenerating by searing them instantly.
Cauterizing the wound.
Exactly. Use a burning brand, a torch, something right after the cut. Prevent the new heads from even starting to grow.
So teamwork becomes essential.
Absolutely critical. It has to be coordinated. Hercules provides the speed and strength, chopping the heads.
And Iolaus is right behind him with the fire, sealing each next stump.
Instantly. You can almost picture it, can't you? The smoke, the smell of burning flesh, the Hydra hissing in fury as its main advantage is neutralized.
They must have worked through them systematically, head after head.
Methodically, yeah. Until only one remained.
The immortal one.
The immortal central head. Hercules cuts that one off, too. But it can't die.
So what do you do with an immortal head?
You bury it.
Yeah.
Deep, under a huge rock, the sources say, on the road between Lerna and Iolaus. Basically trap it forever.
And that's it. The Hydra is finally beaten.
Vanquished. But not just by Hercules' brawn. It took Iolaus' brain, their combined effort.
But the story doesn't end there, does it? The Hydra leaves a parting gift, sort of.
A very dangerous one. Before leaving Lerna, Hercules does something crucial. He gathers up the Hydra's blood. Or venom.
Which is incredibly potent, right? Corrosive stuff.
Extremely. And he uses it to make a weapon.
The poisoned arrows.
Precisely.
Yeah.
He dips his arrowheads in this toxic goo, some sources call it bile or gall, and suddenly, any wound they inflict is instantly fatal.
The poison just consumes the victim from within.
That's the idea. A terrifyingly effective weapon.
And these arrows become, like his trademark, right? Used in later labors.
Oh, yes.
That's
Against the Stymphalian birds, against Geryon. They're a key part of his arsenal, a symbol of him turning a monster's power back against other monsters.
Resourceful, but also ominous.
Very ominous, because here's the big tragic irony. That same venom collected in victory
Leads to his own death.
years later, yes. The sources make a direct link. There's a centaur, Nessus.
Okay.
Hercules shoots Nessus with one of these Hydra poison arrows. As Nessus is dying, he tricks Hercules' wife, Deianira. Tells her his blood, which is now tainted with the Hydra venom, will work as a love charm if Hercules ever strays.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So later, she puts this blood on a cloak, the famous tunic of Nessus, and gives it to Hercules.
And when he puts it on,
The ancient Hydra poison activates. It clings to his skin, burns him unbearably. He tries to rip the tunic off, but it pulls his own flesh away with it.
horrific.
It leads to this agonizing end for him, or in some versions, his transformation and ascent to godhood, but through terrible suffering. All traced back to the Hydra's venom.
Wow. The weapon of his greatest ingenuity becomes his doom.
Exactly. And the sources even mention things like the river Anigris having a bad smell.
Why?
Attributed to other centaurs washing Hydra poison off themselves after fighting Hercules, its toxicity literally lingered in the landscape.
So Hercules gets back to Eurystheus, presumably feeling pretty good about defeating the impossible monster.
You'd think, but Eurystheus pulls a fast one.
He doesn't accept the labor.
Declares it invalid, null and void.
On what grounds?
Yeah.
He killed the Hydra.
The excuse was he had help, because Iolaus assisted him with the firebrands.
Seriously. That seems like such a technicality.
It does, maybe just sour grapes from Eurystheus, but the sources conferring that was the reason given. It kind of underscores how impossible the task was meant to be. Any help disqualified it.
And because that one didn't count.
Hercules had to do 2 extra labors, bringing the total from 10 up to the 12 we usually talk about.
Okay, so the Hydra itself, it becomes more than just a monster in a story, right? It's symbolic.
Absolutely. It's a potent symbol for those problems that just seem to regenerate. You solve one aspect, 2 more pop up.
We all face problems like that sometimes, things that feel overwhelming.
Exactly. And the lesson from the myth isn't just that brute force fails. It's that you need cleverness. You need to adapt your strategy.
And you often need help. Collaboration.
Crucially, yes. Hercules couldn't do it alone. He needed Iolaus' idea and his active partnership. It shows that tackling those really overwhelming challenges often requires shared thinking, teamwork.
And the Hydra's image lives on too, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah. Hera supposedly put both the Hydra and the crab in the sky as constellations.
Hydra in Cancer?
Right. And it's interesting, those constellations have much older roots, apparently going back to Babylonian astronomy, Bashmu the serpent, and Alutu the crayfish or crab.
Huh. And in art.
all over the place. Ancient vases, mosaics, sculptures, you see depictions of the battle constantly. And the idea itself became a metaphor.
Like cutting off a hydra.
Exactly.
Right.
Plato used it. The pseudo-lexicon mentions it, meaning trying to argue or solve something where every point you address just creates more arguments or problems. A hopeless task.
A truly regenerating problem. Okay, so wrapping this up, what a creature. Born from ultimate monsters.
Its very nature seemingly unbeatable, with the regeneration, the poison,
Hercules' usual strength failing.
leading to that critical moment of ingenuity from Iolaus, and that essential teamwork.
Then the creation of those deadly arrows.
And that chilling full circle,
Yeah.
where the venom secures victory, but ultimately brings about Hercules' own destruction.
It really drives home that point about tackling complex, regenerating problems, not just with force, but with wit, with strategy, and with collaboration.
Definitely. Strength alone wasn't the answer here.
And it leaves you with a fascinating thought, doesn't it? That venom, it was the key to future victories. Immense power for Hercules.
His ultimate weapon.
But it inherently contained the seed of his own downfall. So what does that tell us, about the tools and solutions we create? How often does the thing we design to solve one problem carry within it the potential for the next problem, maybe even our own undoing?
That's a powerful question. The double-edged sword of power and solutions.
Something for you?